Dear students, welcome to the new sessions of Class 8 Social Science. In the upcoming series of lessons, we will be exploring the new book Our Past 3. This book will help you understand the events of Indian history after the arrival of the British East India Company up to the independence of India. You will also study the events that happened after the independence of India. So, let us begin with the first chapter in this book, that is how, when and where. In today's lesson, we will be studying the importance of dates in history and how they are used in dividing Indian history into different periods. In class 7, you studied about the new kingdoms that emerged in India. Some of them were the Palas, the Rashtrakutas, the Rajputs, the Vijayanagar and Bahamani kingdoms. You also studied about the Delhi Sultanate and the Mughal rule in India. In the end, you also studied about the decline of the Mughal Empire and the arrival of the British. In this book, we will study the events that happened after the coming of the British. Have you ever wondered why we need to study such events of the past? Why are dates attached to every event that happened in the past? Why do we divide history into different periods while studying them? Let us find out as we study this chapter. The major concepts of today's session are meaning of history and its significance, the importance of dates in history, dividing Indian history using these dates, James Mill's classification of Indian history, an alternative to James Mill's periodization, and the terms colonial and colonization. After studying today's lesson, you will be able to understand the significance of the subject history. You will be able to explain why dates are important in the study of history, and you will be able to analyze James Mill's classification of Indian history and suggest alternatives. Why do we study history? History is the past. It is something which has already happened. What do we get from studying something that has already happened? You might come across these questions very often. Let us understand the need to study history. Did you know the Greeks were the first to define history? The father of history is also from Greece, that is Herodotus. The word history comes from the Greek word historia, which means investigation or research. What is meant by investigation? A detailed inquiry into a particular subject is called investigation. This means that history is the investigation of the past. Therefore, we define history as the study of past events. The very next question that appears to our mind is what to investigate and why to investigate. History is not about remembering the dates of the past. It is about studying the changes that happen in due course of time. It is about finding out how things were in the past and how things have changed in the present. Suppose you want to know when did Indians begin to drink tea. How would you find out? To get the answer, you would have to study the history related to the making of tea. You would also need to study the events which brought tea to India. Only after having knowledge of this, you would be able to get a clear picture. Let us take another example. Suppose you visit the Taj Mahal monument in Agra. You will find a tourist guide who will explain to you about the monument. The tourist guide will also tell you the history of the monument. Knowing the history will help you get a clear understanding of the monument. This is the reason why history needs to be studied. In every aspect of life, you will come across things for which you will need to know the history of it. Let me give you one more reason why history needs to be studied. The problems of the present are deeply rooted in the past. In order to understand and solve these problems, it is necessary to know the history of those events. Let me explain with the help of an example. In classes 6 and 7 on social and political life, you studied the concept of caste discrimination. If you were to solve it, How would you do it? Would you attempt to solve it without understanding why caste discrimination existed and how it was practiced? No, right? Here is a proverb that summarizes the need to study history in a single line. Those ignorant of history are doomed to repeat it. Now you have a clear idea about the importance of the study of history. A question may arise as to why are dates important in the study of history? History can be studied without the help of dates. If you think so, then you are wrong. Dates are very important in the study of history. A time period is attached to every event in the past. This time period defines the event. Let us consider an example. In class 7, you learnt about the Mughal rule in India. You know that the Mughal Empire existed in the past, but precisely mentioning the years when they ruled helps you get a clear understanding of the Mughal rule. By associating the Mughal rule with its time period, you can compare this with other events that were happening somewhere else in the past at the same time. You can also compare the Mughal rule with other events in the past. Would you be able to do all this without the help of dates? Thus, dates act as pointers in history. They provide us with a starting point and an ending point to our study. But can you point out exactly on which day Indians began to drink coffee or started to grow indigo? Or can you point out exactly on which day the independence struggle began? Yes, it is hard. We cannot point out an exact date for events such as these. These events did not take place on a single day, but were developed through course of time. Thus, time does not have to be precisely stated in terms of a year or a month. Therefore, always remember, dates are important to the study of history. But they are not the only concept that needs to be studied. The events that happen are also equally important in the study of history. Now you have understood the importance of dates in the study of history. But there were so many events that happened in the past. How do you know which dates to keep and which dates to not keep in our study? The solution to this problem is classification. Dividing Indian history into different periods based on our convenience will help us classify history. This will help us focus on a single period at a time. The British divided their Indian rule into different periods. How would have they done it? They divided their rule in India based on the different governor generals and viceroys who came to India. These histories began with the rule of the first Governor General, Lord Warren Hastings, and ended with the last Viceroy, Lord Mountbatten. Lord Wellesley, Lord William Bentinck, Lord Dalhousie, Lord Canning, Lord Lawrence, Lord Lytton, Lord Ripon, Lord Curzon, Lord Hardinge, and Lord Irwin were the other Governor Generals and Viceroys to India. All the dates in this classification were linked to these personalities, their policies, their activities, and their achievements. These histories never spoke about the common mass. Is it not necessary to rewrite the history of this period in a correct manner? Yes, you will be studying this in the upcoming lesson. The British historians also tried to classify the entire Indian history into different periods for their convenience. Let us study this classification. The classification of Indian history was first attempted by James Mill in 1817. He was a Scottish economist who published the Indian history in 3 volumes in his book A History of British India. He divided Indian history into 3 periods, that is the Hindu period, the Muslim period, and the British period. This classification was based on religious backgrounds. James Mill thought that in ancient India, most kingdoms followed Hinduism and thus named it as Hindu India. In the similar way, in medieval India, he thought that Islam was the dominant religion and thus named it as the Muslim period. But Mill did not attach any religion to the British rule in India. Why was this period not given any religious reference? Do you think such a classification is appropriate? If not, what problems do you find in this classification? James Mill wanted to showcase the Europeans as the only civilized people in the world. He believed that Asians were uncultured and uncivilized. He thought that before the coming of the British, Indians were dominated by religious beliefs and superstitions. This meant that before the coming of the British, Indian history was one of darkness. Is such a conclusion correct? Think about it. Since James Mill's classification of Indian history is incorrect and does not serve the purpose of periodizing history, we need to reclassify our Indian history. Modern historians such as R.S. Sharma, R.C. Mujumdar, Satish Chandra and Bipin Chandra have attempted another classification of Indian history into three periods: ancient, medieval and modern. How has this classification been made? The ancient Indian history covers the period from prehistoric times to 700 AD approximately. The major events from this period are the Stone Age, the Indus Valley Civilization, the Vedic Age, Buddhism and Jainism, the rise of the Mahajanapadas, Mauryas and the Guptas, about which you have studied in class 6. Historians have very less sources to construct the history of this period, as many records of the ancient period were lost. The medieval Indian history covers the period from 8th century to 18th century approximately. The major events from this period are the rise of the Rajputs, the Cholas, the Delhi Sultanate, the Vijayanagar Empire and the Mughals, about which you have studied in class 7. In this period, historians have immense resources to construct the history. The modern Indian history deals with the period of 18th century to 21st century. The major events from this period are establishing British rule in India, the revolt of 1857, the birth of the Indian National Congress, Mahatma Gandhiji's Satyagraha, India's independence and the making of India's constitution, about which you will study in this class. Interestingly, even the present day is counted under the modern history of India. Some historians feel that this classification is appropriate, but other historians feel that even this classification is not correct. They say that this classification is borrowed from the West, where the modern period was associated with the growth of all forces of modernity such as science, reason, democracy and equality. In India, both the ancient and medieval times had their own unique cultures and discoveries in science such as the Ayurveda and the decimal system. Therefore, some historians do not agree with calling one period as modern. They instead refer to the modern Indian history as colonial Indian history. The events that happened after the independence of India are referred to as the post-colonial history of India. What do we mean by the term colonial? Let us find out. When the subjugation of one country by another country leads to political, economic, social and cultural changes, we refer to this process as colonization. Subjugation is the process of dominating or controlling a person or a country. Let us explore these terms in detail. In the 15th century, Europeans discovered the sea route to India. They started coming to India one after the other for the purpose of trade. First to reach India were the Portuguese, then came the Dutch and later the French. Finally, the British came to India. The British East India Company arrived for the purpose of trade. In due course of time, they started conquering the different kingdoms of India. With these conquests, they now started ruling the entire India. They established their own laws, customs and practices. They did not give equal rights to the local Indians. They also suppressed many movements that were launched against the British, such as the Revolt of 1857, about which you will learn in the coming chapters. Thus, India became a colony of the British, and historians refer to this period as the colonial history of India. The British colonized not just India, but many other parts of the world such as Sri Lanka, Hong Kong, South Africa, West Indies, Australia and New Zealand. Now look at this cartoon. What do you find? What is the octopus trying to do? Yes, it is stretching itself as far as it can. It is trying to dominate the entire region. This is exactly what the British did. Consider the octopus as the British trying to conquer different lands and dominate over them. Now you have understood the concept of colonization. Dear students, that brings us to the end of today's lesson. Let us summarize what we have learnt in today's class. The word history comes from the Greek word historia, meaning investigation. The father of history is Herodotus. History is defined as the study of our pasts. History is about studying the changes that took place in course of time. Dates are very important in the study of history. But history should not be treated as remembering of dates. James Mill classified Indian history into Hindu, Muslim and British. He termed Indian history as a period of darkness. Modern historians classify Indian history into ancient, medieval and modern. Colonialism is the process of subjugating a country. The British colonized India and many other parts of the world. Let us do. Discuss with your friends the need to study history. Discuss the other uses of history apart from the ones you have studied in this lesson. Activity. Find out the major countries that were colonized by the British. Mark them on a world map. Also find out the year when these countries became independent and submit it to your teacher. Dear students, in this lesson, we studied about the importance of dates and the classification of history. Have you ever wondered how we get to know about the things that happened in the past? Yes, we get to know from the things that were left over by the people. For example, we understand about the Indus Valley civilization from the things that were left over by the people. Similarly, we get to know about the other events from things such as manuscripts, coins, inscriptions and records. How did we come to know about the history of the colonial India? You will be studying this in the upcoming lesson. Hope you enjoyed today's session. Thank you.